2021. It was a pretty interesting year to watch a lot of movies, and I consider most of them entertaining, both in theaters and on streaming, of course. And for those who are new to my channel, or for those who have watched my videos before, the reason why my channel is called The Pop Culture Dude in the first place because I love to talk anything pop culture related in general, if it's something from the past or future, just sharing my knowledge and experience of movies, shows, and games that basically just gets to my interest. And that's why I'm making this video about my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022, whoop whoop! And we're not going to count the January releases since we're already past by that, but these are the movies that I'm looking forward for the rest of 2022. So let's begin the countdown!
Let's rock this joint!
Number 10.
Puss in Boots 2.
Yes, you heard me, they are making a sequel to this beloved side character who debuted since Shrek 2. Puss in Boots is finally getting a sequel to his spin-off solo movie. Even the sequel has a subtitle called
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
We may not know much for this long-awaited sequel unless we already know the small details of it will be in the works by co-director of Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse. Antonio Banderas will indeed reprise his iconic role as Puss in Boots, and even has a release date on September 23rd, 2022, after DreamWorks will release their first film of 2022, The Bad Guys. To get the idea what is the plot summary, it says,
Puss in Boots discovered that his passion for adventure has taken its toll. He had burned through 8 of his 9 lives. Puss sets out on an epic journey to find the mystical last wish and restore his 9 lives.
Well, that makes sense for the subtitle. I'm just excited that finally that it took so many years for the sequel to get developed. I mean, it's better than Illumination's potential quote-unquote Shrek reboot, am I right? Because we don't need it. So overall, I'm just looking forward to this long-awaited sequel just because it's something from the old era of DreamWorks animation, and that's why I put it number 10 on my list. Number 9.
The Flash.
This film took so many years of development just because it keeps losing director after director until they hired the guy who made the It movies, Andy Muschietti. Just to recap to the timeline of the DC Extended Universe reception, it's been pretty mixed from both fans and critics. Some are really great movies and some others, it's better off just to not talk about it. But since The Flash has been debuted in the 2017 Justice League cut where he becomes stupidly annoying like this, until he eventually redeemed himself in the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League with this epic scene.
Make your own future.
As we finally see the Flash develop himself as the character in the DCEU, finally he's getting his first feature-length movie, which would be an adaptation of one of his most iconic storylines, The Flashpoint, which is adapted to this movie, but with some drastic changes. It's a multiversal storyline, and just like what Marvel and Sony did with Spider-Man No Way Home, it's the exact same thing with the Flash movie of bringing back Michael Keaton's Batman from the Tim Burton Batman movies, and Ben Affleck's Batman for the DCEU, but also the introduction of Supergirl in the DCEU as well. As exciting as it is, that could be very concerning, because I hear rumors online that this would either replace the leads of Batman and Superman, Ben Affleck's Batman and Henry Cavill's Superman, away from the leads for Batgirl, and Supergirl to take away the leads, which would be a shame. I mean, Ben Affleck did want to quit as Batman, and eventually he's no longer interested in playing the role for IP movie, so this will be his conclusion to his goodbye, and say hello to Old Man Batman. Even though I'm gonna be disappointed that they're gonna retcon the Zack Snyder-verse of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and his Justice League, but I'm overall still curious for what's gonna happen to the movie, including from Michael Keaton's Batman as he literally returns, no pun intended, and what is the future of the DCEU following the Flash movie, which is why I place it on number 9 on my list. Number 8. The Super Mario Bros. Animated movie. Okay, you're probably thinking, Daniel, you're excited for the Super Mario Bros. Movie? It's gonna be nothing but a corporate sellout with a bunch of A-list celebrities, and it's made by Illumination, blah, 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 blah. Well, just to be clarified, and I am fully aware that I am pretty mixed myself on the voice casting. I made a YouTube video about for my reaction to it, but I'm still interested just because no matter how ridiculous the voice cast is, I would give it a chance because number 1, it's Mario, 2, it's animated, and even though yes, it's made by Illumination, that most of their movies are not in the best of quality terms of making high-class, like, well-quality made movies, but I will not gonna lie, I think the voice cast is pretty hilarious, and I just can't wait to hear the voices of Chris Pratt's Mario, Charlie Day's Luigi, Jack Black's Bowser's, Keegan-Michael Key's Toad, Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong, and everyone else. It's just gonna be a guilty pleasure in my book, that's what I think.
First, of course, is Mario, who will be played by Chris Pratt.
It's a Mario. That's not the voice. You'll have to wait to hear the voice, but...
Next, Princess Peach will be played by Anya Taylor-Joy.
You look more like Princess Peach than Princess Peach does, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's fun with that, to work with like Seth Rogen and like all those guys.
It's so much fun. I have unlimited amounts of respect for all of the work that goes into it because these artists are just incredible. And I'm a little bit lazy in some ways, so I enjoy doing things for homework or research, like playing a video game.
Right.
Mario's little brother, Luigi, will be played by Charlie Day.
You in the Super Mario Brothers movie right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you're playing Luigi.
I'm playing Luigi.
Luigi, yeah. So have you read through the whole script?
I know nothing.
For real?
I know nothing. I show up and they're like, you say this and you say that, and it's all very funny and good. And then I walk out and there's like two guys in overalls with like hammers that are like, don't you tell nobody nothing about this, Charlie. I swear to God, we're gonna get your kneecaps, we're gonna break your neck.
Bowser will be played by the one and only Jack Black.
Hey, Pratt, I'm coming for you. Yeah, Bowser, gonna eat you whole. I'm gonna barbecue you and then eat you. Barbecue chicken.
The comedian Keegan-Michael Key will be playing Toad.
That's the funniest thing that ever happened in the whole world! I'm Jimmy!
Even though this is a Mario movie, Donkey Kong will also be making an appearance. He will be played by Seth Rogen.
This is so bizarre, but I love it. Anyway, try not to get too carried away or try to make this segment too long, but even though how ridiculous the voice cast could be, and even though I'm still gonna give it a chance regardless just because how hilarious it is that they're gonna get these A-list celebrities to play these fictional iconic video game characters, it's such a shame that Shigeru Miyamoto let Charles Martinet not voice Mario, but at least he's involved in the movie. I know it's not as well respected like Sonic the Hedgehog's 2 voice cast when they bring Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails, but it is what it is, guys, so either way, I'll still be looking forward to how ridiculously insane the Super Mario Bros. Movie will come out on December 21st, 2022. The same year as Mario and Sonic. Looks like we got competition. Number 7. Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh, looky here, a Marvel movie. Aren't we surprised? I don't think so. What do you expect me to choose? A Martin Scorsese movie that he would approve? So ever since the Thor franchise definitely need a quote-unquote reinvention from the last 2 Thor movies, which was not well received from critics and audiences, they hired director Taika Waititi, who decided to bring some colors, a lot more visuals, and so much fun, a little bit too much fun, in the 3rd installment Thor Ragnarok that features the Hulk. And now we're gonna see a continuation of Thor's journey after where he lost to Thanos as he should have gone for the head. And as years go by, Thor became fat and depressed. Until then, he decided to get some revenge over Thanos as he's still chubby with some thunder in his eyes. And then he eventually teams up with the Guardians so he can just have some traveling buddies, which the Guardians of the Galaxy will definitely appear in the next Thor movie. Yay, we can have some more chemistry modes between Thor and Star-Lord to see who's the better Marvel Chris, Pratt or Hemsworth. Aside from the Guardians, there are going to be some more returning side characters, which is Valkyrie, Korg, my name is Korg, I'm made of frogs, one of the funny side characters from Thor Ragnarok to be honest, but surprisingly Thor's ex-girlfriend Jane Foster, who's played by the lovely, talented Natalie Portman, who decided to buff herself up for this movie so she could take the helm of being female Thor for this movie. Kinda makes sense of the subtitle, Love and Thunder. There's even more special guest stars such as freaking Christian Bale, who played Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy, is gonna be the villain of this movie. Even Matt Damon, Luke Hemsworth, aka Chris Hemsworth's brother, and Melissa McCarthy are part of the film just to play parody versions of Thor and Loki, just like what they did with Thor Ragnarok. Same for Melissa McCarthy as a parody version of Hela. So this movie's gonna be really massive with a bunch of A-list actors, and I think it's gonna be a very fun movie. Sure, is it gonna be over comedic? Yeah, but that's what it's gonna be. Just nothing but have fun and have a good time for this next installment of the Thor franchise, who's the first character to get his 4th movie before anyone else. So that's number 7 on my list. Number 6. Jurassic World Dominion! Ever since Jurassic World brought back the franchise of Jurassic Park many million years ago, I'm just kidding, it eventually was a box office success that eventually just spawned Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Fans were pretty mixed on the reception of Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but what is really amazing from Fallen Kingdom that I will give it credit for, from how it sets up Jurassic World Dominion, where literally dinosaurs will rule the earth, which is an exactly nice callback to the original Jurassic Park. And what's so amazing about Jurassic World Dominion, it could be potentially the Avengers Endgame of the Jurassic franchise, unless that's what Chris Pratt says. That's funny. I mentioned Chris Pratt like 3 times. The Mario movie, Thor Love and Thunder, and Jurassic World Dominion? What is happening? Okay, makes sense, because the Velociraptors are like Yoshi's, Universal's like, hey, we should cast you as the next Mario. Anyway, I'm kind of getting a little too carried away. It looks like that Super Mario Odyssey page eventually just ages well with Mario being chased by a dinosaur. Ooh.
Mamma mia!
But all joking aside, I'm just genuinely excited to see Jurassic World Dominion because I grew up watching the Jurassic Park films and I have a soft spot for the sake of nostalgia and loving dinosaurs when I was young. But I'm really excited that we're actually going to get the classic trio from the original Jurassic Park, Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler, which we have not seen since Jurassic Park 3, so that's even more special. And, yes, the legend himself, Dr. Ian Malcolm, aka Jeff Goldblum. Later there's running and screaming. I'm glad he's back to be reunited with his co-stars, but also teaming up with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, so it's going to be great that there's going to be original Jurassic Park characters along with the new current ones in this Jurassic World trilogy, and at least make this a satisfying conclusion to the Jurassic franchise. It'll lead to so many questions. How many people will survive dinosaurs going outside in the world? Will Blue eventually be alive and reunite with Owen? You never know, so I'm curious about what's going to happen in Jurassic World Dominion, and it'll be truly amazing. And fun fact, I did see Jeff Goldblum in person at a MegaCon convention, but I never get to meet him. Anyway, let's just move on to the next number. Number 5.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
This is my most anticipated MCU movie, and here's why. Ever since the event of Spider-Man No Way Home, where Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Doctor Strange break the spell that caused the multiverse of multiple Spider-Man villains to come up and conquer his world, and now, from Doctor Strange 2, we definitely get to see the aftermath after that multiverse break through Madness, and we could definitely see that in the first look of the Doctor Strange trailer that was released at the after credits of Spider-Man No Way Home, which is in my No Way Home spoiler theater audience reaction video, which you should check that out. But also, I even make a trailer reaction inside the theater as well too. Speaking of Spider-Man No Way Home, aka the film that brought back Green Goblin and Doc Ock from Spider-Man 1 and 2, which is directed none other than by Sam Raimi himself, who is the director of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and he's the perfect director for the movie. Why? Because if Doctor Strange 2 has horror elements, Sam Raimi is no stranger to that in the Evil Dead franchise, and Sam Raimi knows how to embrace the true traditional comic book routes, just like his original Spider-Man trilogy, which makes you look back at the Spider-Man 2 scene that totally ages well looking back at it now.
Doctor Strange. That's pretty good. But it's taken.
After watching that, who would have thought that many years in the future he would actually direct a Doctor Strange sequel? So that totally aged well. Speaking of that, he even adored Spider-Man No Way Home so much, he adored Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Alfred Mole's Doc Ock, and spoiler alert, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who could be rumored to be a part of this movie. Even though Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will connect to WandaVision, since Wanda Maximoff herself, aka the Scarlet Witch, is involved with Doctor Strange, especially the events of that series in West Side View on Disney+, and this could lead to some very interesting territory that will go complete bonkers, including the introduction of this new young Avenger, America Chavez. But potentially, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness could introduce infinite amount of Marvel cameos that you can think of, not just from the MCU, maybe potentially from the X-Men movies, from the Fox verse, or even maybe a little bit from the earlier superhero movies. You never know, it could be like different variants of different Marvel characters but played by different actors. It just goes into complete madness, and that's why I'm very excited for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because if the movie lives up to its title, then I am totally up for it, and I totally cannot wait to see what this Doctor Strange 2 has in store for us. Number 4. Pixar's Lightyear. Guys, look! It's the real Buzz Lightyear! Yep, I said it. Lightyear is one of my most anticipated movies. The reason why is, I am a huge fan of the Toy Story franchise. I absolutely adore, like, all the films that I've been growing up with. And now we actually are getting a realistic Buzz Lightyear prequel, and it's basically just the human that inspired the toy of Buzz Lightyear. And I gotta say, the animation looks absolutely wonderful. It definitely seems like a classic sci-fi type of film. And are you kidding me? Chris Evans to voice Buzz Lightyear? Who would have thought to get to hear Captain America's voice in Buzz Lightyear, man?
To infinity.
And
Space Rangers, assemble! Anyway, all pop culture references aside, he was destined to wear the suit to the patriotic uniform of America, the galactic space armor of Star Command. But all jokes aside, now to get serious about this, Chris Evans is definitely a perfect casting for Buzz Lightyear, and what's very interesting about this prequel of Buzz Lightyear is the fact that where did Buzz Lightyear eventually get his catchphrases from? Where is his comrades? Is the animated series of Buzz Lightyear Star Command canon? I don't think so. I think that's going to be retcon. Is Zurg going to have his live-action human debut in the Lightyear movie, which I don't know if he's going to look very realistic or he's in the movie. I mean, they tease Zurg bots, but they haven't really showed that much. And if there is a Lightyear prequel that becomes successful, hopefully this movie does not go to Disney Plus, just like Turning Red that just went straight to Disney Plus. So I'm hoping that Lightyear actually hits the theatrical release ever since Toy Story 4 was their last movie that hit over $1 billion around that time. And if they do make another prequel, hopefully they could do a Woody prequel. You could cast Tom Hanks' son, Colin Hanks, or Matthew McConaughey going reach for the sky. Alright. But once again, all pop culture references aside, Lightyear is definitely one of my most anticipated movies for 2022, and I just can't wait to see it this summer. And also one last thing to add, I almost forgot that Micah Giacchino's actually going to do the music score for Lightyear. He's no stranger to like making music work for Pixar like Ratatouille, Incredibles, and Inside Out. Now that makes me more excited for the movie even more. Number 3. The Batman. As I mentioned Batman a lot throughout this video, deja vu. But anyway, since we have so many Batman movie adaptations from the last couple of decades, from Tim Burton's films to Joel Schumacher's films to Christopher Nolan's films and even Zack Snyder, now we welcome Mr. Matt Reeves himself, who's directing this brand new Batman called The Batman, that features Twilight's Robert Pattinson to take over the role. But don't worry, it's not going to be like his Edward vampire performance. This is definitely a very versatile performance in his career that makes him look like the Batman himself. And besides, there's been so many actors that donned the cape and the cowl of Batman before. I mean, after all, Batman has no limits. One of the reasons why I'm excited for the Batman, it's because of director Matt Reeves' vision for his iteration of Batman. Ever since I watched his Planet of the Apes movies, I could definitely say that he's definitely a very fitting director for this pitch of the Batman. And I gotta say, it looks cinematically stunning, it looks very hardcore, really well-crafted choreography from the action sequences. But what makes this movie a bit different from other Batman movies is the fact that it's gonna be a murder mystery detective movie, which we definitely did not see that much from Batman lately. So I think that's gonna be a very interesting concept for this new take on the Batman. I'm also looking forward to the talented cast of actors that they have for this movie, including Robert Pattinson himself. Look, you can eventually just joke about his Kurt Cobain inspired look or the Nirvana song choice they could put in this movie, but to be honest, this interesting take that Robert Pattinson does to this Batman, it feels genuine and feels very natural to the character, especially for his grief and his emotions and then his rage, and it's definitely going to be developed a lot in this film. And I think Robert Pattinson's going to nail out of the park, especially since he knows the character very well, that he fully embraces the role. I could say the same for Zoe Kravitz and Selena Kyle in this movie, where we're definitely going to see the evolution of her Catwoman in the Batman. Especially, it's so funny how we have so many actors that play the Batmen, the Catwomen, including the Alfreds, the legend himself, Andy Serkis. Who would have thought that Caesar from Planet of the Apes, Gollum from Lord of the Rings, Snoke from Star Wars, Claw from Black Panther would be Alfred, but good job on the casting, Matt Reeves. What's also interesting about this new Batman is the main villain of the story. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat? we are definitely going to see Paul Dano's new debut of this darker, more sinister, more creepier Zodiac-inspired Riddler ever since 1995's Jim Carrey's Saturday morning cartoon performance, which I still prefer more. That could be me just because I find Jim Carrey's Riddler a bit more entertaining and charming, but it's too early to judge, even though I prefer Jim Carrey's Riddler suit over the Zodiac-inspired suit that Paul Dano is wearing as the Riddler. But I definitely think that Paul Dano is going to bring a very interesting take as the Riddler. Ever since I saw his movies like Little Miss Sunshine and Prisoners, I can definitely see that he'll definitely bring a very creepy, terrifying turn of the Riddler from how all of his clues and all of his mysteries and all of his riddles would form over the mind manipulation of both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Also, can't forget about Colin Farrell's drastic change as the Penguin. Gotta give credit to the makeup artist who eventually makes him look closely to the Arkham version of the Penguin. He's making Dan DeVito make a run for his money. He says he may not have like a large role in this movie, but for what he's given, definitely love the line deliveries like, "Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart." The last thing I'll mention why I'm excited for the Batman is once again the legend himself. Michael Giacchino's score for the Batman sounds so triumphant that it sounds like a bat soaring up to the dark night of the sky, and it feels so glorious and just ambitious by listening to it. As a matter of fact, Michael Giacchino, he made music for Spider-Man No Way Home, which I love it, now the Batman, and then, now to think about it, Jurassic World Dominion, Lightyear, and even Thor Love and Thunder. He's gonna have like the biggest paycheck in his career, and half of those movies are in my top 10 list, so that's an absolute win for sure. So overall, that's why the Batman's number 3 on my list, and I can't wait to see it very soon on March 4th this year. Number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Yes, you heard me, Part 1. This storyline in the SpiderVerse sequel will be split into 2 parts, so that means Part 1 is in October 7th, 2022, and then Part 2 will be in October 2023. This sequel to this Academy Award-winning animated feature, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, became one of the best Spider-Man movies in recent years, besides Spider-Man No Way Home, of course. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a masterclass of cinema. Why? It's because of its unique style of animation, really great storytelling, a very incredibly talented voice cast, but also the brilliant minds of Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I've always been a fan of their animation work, especially in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego Movie, and recently The Mitchells vs. the Machines, which is a really good movie, and now they have plenty of big surprises for Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. So after the event of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, our lead hero Miles Morales gets to save all the Spider people back to their homes from the multiversal collider, and yes, one of them is a talking pig from the villain Kingpin from the last movie, and then he eventually gets to learn how to become his own individual Spider-Man until we get to leave his own close friend Gwen Stacy, who he might have a crush on, and just go like, "Miles, I got a minute?" And that's where the trailer picked up from the ending from the first movie. As the filmmakers confirmed for this sequel will be focused on Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy as the main leads to develop the relationship, but it will definitely be a big time jump in the story, even though yes, Miles and Gwen are definitely confirmed the sequel. But what about Peter P. Parker, where he decided to get fat? Do we get ab crutches, get strong? Well, not trying to brag, guys. I actually met the voice of Peter P. Parker, Jake Johnson himself, and I even asked him if he is involved in the Spider-Verse sequel for his character.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is in development for a sequel. Do you think there's a possibility that Peter P. Parker could return for the next story?
Well, Daniel, I would really hope so. I really loved playing Peter B. Parker. We actually recorded that movie for, I think it was over 2 years. So people don't realize with most of the animation, you do like 2 or 3 records and it's over. I lived with that character before anybody knew it was happening for so long. I loved the material. I got to record with Shamik a lot, who played Miles, and we got to bounce off each other. And, you know, Shamik and I became buddies, and we're still texting and in touch. And I would love to see Peter, what happens to him. I would love to see did he and MJ get back together? Did he become a dad? Is he still a superhero? Like, is he a dad and a superhero? But these are all as a fan now, because in terms of the inside, I'm not at that table making the decisions, but I would love Peter to come back.
And after literally a year after when I asked Jake Johnson that interview, he literally just confirmed that yes, Peter B. Parker will return in the sequel. So, yay, you got Jake Johnson coming back as Peter B. Parker. Sure, he's not in the trailer, but he's coming back along with, obviously, Shamik Moore and Haley Steinfeld reprising their roles as Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy. But they're not the only people that will be returning. Oscar Isaac, the legend himself, would be reprising his role of 2099 Spider-Man, who was set up in the after-credit sequence until he does the iconic point me, "How dare you're pointing at me? You're being very rude to point. Until then, we eventually get to see 2099 Spider-Man fighting Miles Morales in this different style of animation, which they did tease that there's going to be some different animation styles for this movie, so it's going to be a visual eye candy to see, like a acid seeing into your eyes. But now that we're getting to seeing that Miles and Miguel O'Hara are fighting each other, I wonder what will be the reason for. No idea why, but I'm interested. I also realize it's also fun to know that this is Oscar Isaac's third Marvel character he played, X-Men Apocalypse, the upcoming Moon Knight series on Disney+, and then Miguel O'Hara in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. He was also a part of Star Wars, which every other Marvel actor has joined Star Wars, and let's not forget, every single Spider-Man voice actor has been a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I see Haley Steinfeld, I see Mahershala Ali, Oscar Isaac, Catherine Hahn. Who's next? Is Jake Johnson and Shamik Moore gonna join the MCU now? I'm just kidding. So overall, I'm just really excited for what Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 has surprises for us. Will there be more returning Spider-Man characters from the first movie? Will there be some other fan favorite ones like Super Spider-Man Coming to Spider-Verse Part 1? Or eventually, are we gonna see cameos of Tobey, Andrew, Tom in animated form, especially after the success of No Way Home? I don't know, but I'm very excited for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, and that's why I consider it as my second most anticipated movie for 2022. And finally, number 1. So, before I even get to reveal my number 1 most anticipated movie of 2022, I'm just gonna build it up for you. So, for those who eventually watch my videos of the Pop Culture Dude, you guys should know what made my channel well recognized, or at least break out to like some certain group of audience in the first place. You know I've been making tons of videos related to this movie, and I'm gonna tell you what is my number 1 most anticipated movie of 2022. Minions, the Rise of Gru!
And stuff now in the class.
I'm just kidding once again. Anyway, my real number 1 choice for my most anticipated movie of 2022, come on, say it with me if you know it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, aka Sonic Movie 2. This choice should not be a surprise for anyone who watches this channel, but anyway, let's get to the point. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is basically everything I wanted in a Sonic the Hedgehog movie sequel, and a lot of video game movies should learn from this. And I have to say, the first movie literally changed my life forever, and I'm not even kidding. Like, getting noticed by my childhood hero Jim Carrey, who gets to be back on the big screen as Dr. Robotnik, it's something I'll never forget. Alongside with Ben Schwartz, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, the voice of Sonic and Tails getting recognized on social media as well. I wouldn't be on YouTube if it weren't for this franchise, and here we are right now for this long-awaited sequel that is definitely worth the hype. That I'll still make more videos about it. But why am I excited for Sonic the Hedgehog 2? First of all, it definitely builds up the stakes and everything from what the first film set up to be. Like, the second film definitely seems a lot more bigger, ambitious in scope, and it's definitely going to develop like the journey of Sonic the Hedgehog of being a young solo hero of his own. And then eventually we got the return of Dr. Robotnik, played by the wonderfully talented Jim Carrey, which is still surprising that he's getting to be a part of a sequel in his career, and I cannot be excited for it. Papa's got a brand new stash. I would love to give the first movie credit for trying to keep the story small and simple and focus on the origins of Sonic and Robotnik, along with James Marsden's character, which is why they decided to not go too heavy to the lore. But once when fans loved the first movie and it became a box office success, then they have the bigger budget to make more Easter eggs, more references, more world building, and fan favorite characters from the games into the sequel. And it's none other to thank Jeff Fowler himself, including the writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller, but the incredible dedicated cast and crew with so much joy and so much participation that they eventually involved with these movies. Especially adding Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails is definitely a big absolute win just for listening to the fans and letting her reprise her role as Tails, but also the excitement of Idris Elba's Knuckles, which is definitely going to be super badass, and I can't wait to see the conflicts between him and Sonic throughout in the sequel. So that's why I'm really excited for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, just because it looks everything what's promised from it builds up from the first movie, and it definitely looks like it will be better than the first movie without a doubt. And the best thing about it is there's so much love, passion, and dedication that we definitely get to see that there's definitely going to be more promising future setups that will be for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie franchise, and I really just can't wait for it. And obviously I'll be there to post more Sonic Movie 2 content. I can't wait to cosplay as Dr. Robotnik 2.0, and that's one of the biggest reasons why that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is my most anticipated movie of 2022, as a sequel, as a video game movie, but in general for All Out in 2022. So yeah, that'll be my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022. I know my choices are pretty biased, and I know some people are going to disagree with my choices, but that's what I made this video about. So if you have any like top top 10 favorite movies or anticipated ones. If you agree with me or disagree with me, just let me know down in the comments, and then we can eventually discuss about our rankings and our choices. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll definitely see you guys in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye then.